Alright, this is going to be a very cool and fun video for me because I know this is going to be a lot of your guys' like, a lot of you are going to be very uncomfortable with this topic because it's going to require you to get out of your comfort zone, and I'm going to attack you a little bit in your comfort zone because I know a lot of you live like this. And that is going to be the fact that standing out in a positive way should be a goal that you want to obtain. And so I feel like most people say that you should stand out in any way, like positive and negative attention is good, but in reality, let's be for real. Would you rather have positive attention or negative attention? Like, come on. Most people, you don't want negative attention. You don't want to stand out in a negative way. That may be the only way some of you can stand out, but it doesn't mean that's what you want. You want to be viewed in a positive light. Now, standing out in a positive way may sound very scary to some of you, and the only reason that it may sound scary isn't because of the whole positive thing. It's the very first two words, stand out. That's what scares you guys. And because most of you are used to wanting to be carbon copies of one another, most of you want to fit in. And I'm here to tell you that that is wrong. That is super wrong. And I mean, I guess it's not wrong if you want to be, some random person in life that just kind of goes through life like settling. Because if you want to be a settler, hey, then I guess you're, whatever. But if you don't, if you don't want to be someone who settles, if you want to be someone who actually achieves the life that you want and things you want and people you want in that life, then you cannot be afraid to stand out. Standing out is actually the first step to success. You need to do something that breaks the trend. You need to do something ahead of the curve. You need to do something that other people look at you like, what? Because when you stand out, you're literally showing everyone else that you are different and that you're not afraid of being different. Most people are afraid of being different. They're very afraid of it. And when they see someone who's not afraid of it, they kind of, in a way, are ashamed of themselves. It's like literally being in shape and a person who's not in shape sees you. They have that, they don't like that you're in shape because they have to deal with the fact that they're not in shape. That's why they don't like it. It's not really having anything to do with you. It has to do with them not being in shape. It's the same with someone who's different or someone who stands out, whether it be in their personality. Now, don't get me wrong. When I say stand out, I don't mean put on like a stupid, goofy pink flower outfit and go stand somewhere in the public and be like, oh, I'm doing it in a positive. No, that's not what I mean. You're going to get ridiculed, made fun of, and I'm going to make fun of you for that. Like, don't do that. What I mean is, like, in your personality or overall way you carry yourself or just way you speak, be diverse, be different, be articulate, be exquisite. Be these things in a unapologetic way so that other people can see that you're different and that you're not ashamed of being different. Because that will make other people look within themselves and go, God, I'm not like that. I'm not different. I'm not, taking the extra step. I'm not being like cunning or sophisticated, like smart, or being someone who's just like willing to, like a thrill seeker, someone who's willing to take a dangerous situation or step out of their comfort zone. You should be thrilled when you're presented with a situation where you need to step out of your comfort zone because it shows, like, it's a way for you to test the metal when it comes to yourself. It's a way for you to prove to yourself that you can be more than just some background character who's going to settle. You don't want to be that because then that lands you in a 9 to 5 the rest of your life. It lands you in a job in which you're not even the main character in that 9 to 5 because you just decided you wanted to settle and fit in. And then it leads to your entire life being mediocre. And then you get to the end of your life and you're like, dude, my entire life was mediocre. That's such a fear. In my opinion, that's actually more scary than being in poverty because of the fact that, like, when you're in poverty, you kind of have to, like, give up. You have to give in. You kind of have to be like, you know what, I'm in poverty, this sucks, my life sucks, I'm just gonna give up. Like, you have to literally physically throw in the towel. And on the other hand, if you're really successful, you gave it all you got, you prevailed. Being mediocre is like, in a way, it's like you tried and you gave it, like, whatever you gave it. Even if you gave it your all, that just shows that your all wasn't enough. Like, being mediocre is someone who wanted more at one time and decided that they weren't going to get more, so they settled. Like, that, in a way, you don't even officially give up. You kind of are still, like, working towards this dream that you know you're never going to obtain. Like, that's worse than being in poverty. You're literally, like, in denial. Like, you're yelling, lying to yourself, and you're in conscious deniability. Like, that's so much worse in my opinion. But anyway, back to the topic at hand. Standing out. Standing out can be done in many ways. You can do it by being in shape, which I know I talk about a lot, but hey, sorry, it's something that stands out probably the most out of everything because it's in the physical realm. You can stand out by the language you use, and when I say that, I don't mean try to use stupid, big words like on purpose to show how smart you are. I mean, maybe the tonality of your voice or the pitch of your voice. So, like, you can use words that, if you use them correctly or try to make them sound natural in your speech, are intelligent or sound intellectual. But, like, your body language, your way of like physical touch. Like maybe there's somebody like a girl you like who like touches your arm and you don't know what to do, so like you don't want to touch her back, but instead of just thinking about like I don't want to touch her back, maybe she didn't, you just go for it, and it's like I know that sounds kind of crazy because it's like you don't want to catch any like charges, but like you know what I mean. Like if a girl's feeling you and you don't are scared to make the move, like don't just make the move. Like, challenge yourself. Everything should be a challenge to you. Like comparison is the thief of people's prosperity. Like comparison is literally the thief of most people's happiness because most people should be comparing themselves to themselves, not other people. And when you compare yourself to yourself, it's like you should be thrilled to be in these situations where you must stand out because it's a way to show yourself that you can go that extra step, you can go that extra mile, and it starts to change. It starts to change a lot of things in your life. And, you know, standing out is something that takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of comfortability. Like you have to be comfortable in your own skin. That's why I say all these other steps need to come before that. But if you get to that point where you're in that phase now of your life where standing out is the goal, like you should be excited. Like you shouldn't be scared of standing out. You should be thrilled because it's like all these you gotta think about it. You've never stood, if you're scared of standing out right now, it's because you never stood out in your life, which means you were either at the bottom of the barrel for the rest, like for the whatever life you've had up until now, or you've been someone who just blends in up until now. You have this brand new chapter of your life that you can experience by being spontaneous, by being miraculous, by being this person who just grabs the world and molds it in your hands like Play-Doh and just kind of goes through it and has fun with it and just does all these like really cool things. And at the same time, you're challenging yourself with each step, each miraculous step you're taking, because you're going, I wonder if I'm going to get uncomfortable by doing this, or I wonder if me getting uncomfortable by doing this is going to stop me, or if I'm going to push through and still do it, Like that should be really exciting and motivating for a lot of you. It shouldn't be scary. It should be scary. It should be scary. I'm not saying it being scary isn't something that's like wrong, but doing it is going to be so much more fulfilling than just going back into your shell and reverting back into your comfort zone. Because nothing is ever going to change when you do that. You need to make change to see change. I'm going to say that again. You need to make change to see change. People will go through life doing the same things over and over again and want to see a different result. That is literally the definition, the dictionary definition of insanity. Doing the same thing over and over again while expecting a different result. And it's the trap that a lot of you are in right now in your life. Not because you're insane, just because you're lost. You're lost with who you are and what your purpose is and what your overall worth and self-worth is. Because somewhere along the line, probably in high school at some point, you just had this identity crisis and now you're stuck. You feel like this vessel. You feel like this person that doesn't has no rhyme or reason, and you're just this body. Like you're not even in a weird way, you don't even feel like you're the person inside your body. You feel like you're just this thing, this like entity going through life until you expire and just kind of trying not to make all the wrong moves and to make all the right moves. Like that's not the way you should live. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Don't be afraid to obviously if they're not too bad mistakes, but don't be afraid to make mistakes. Don't be afraid to be perceived as awkward at first. Don't be afraid to be perceived as different or stand out. Because those are usually the people who are considered eccentrics, spontaneous, artists even. And over time, you'll master your craft. They say that most things you practice makes perfect. If you start off by being someone who stands out in a spontaneous way, you'll get better at standing out. And then standing out will become the norm. And when standing out becomes the norm, then anything is obtainable. Because you can go up to that stranger and strike up a conversation with them. You can tell that dude that you like that shirt he got, where'd he get it? You can see someone down the street and be like, dude, you're jacked, let's go, motivate, because it's infectious. When you're okay with standing out, you start to be the voice of reason for those around you, because you start to give out compliments and overall speak to people who necessarily you wouldn't have spoke to because of how scared you were before. And who knows, your spark of standing out could be the thing that causes another person to have the confidence to stand out. Theoretically, what I just said a second ago. That dude who was jacked on the street, who probably worked really hard to be jacked, what if he was somebody who was just like you and wanted to blend in? He got jacked and everything, but let's just say he was somebody who didn't like speaking or wasn't extroverted and didn't want to, didn't know how to talk to other people. And you're this, same way, very introverted, and you just kind of walk by the street and you notice, dude, God, that guy's jacked. He looks dope. He really did that. And you just kind of, instead of saying something, you just walk by oh, you don't know what to do. And now flip that. You walk by dude and you look at him and you're like, hey, this is gonna sound kind of stupid, but normalcy. Walk by him and flexing, like, dude, you're big, like, shout out you did that, you know? Like, he's gonna look at you and be like, yo, like, thanks, dude. Like, you know, unless he isn't, unless he beats you up and puts you in a dumpster, but the odds of that happening are way less than the odds of him just, you know, being like, thank you, I guess. But yeah, you know, chances are he's gonna be like, thanks, dude, and like, you know, like, he's gonna be like, yeah, what if that was the compliment that made him go, you know what, like, wow, that guy was dope, you know, maybe that'll inspire me to start talking to somebody, and then he talks to someone who's like that too, and then they become someone who stands out, you know, like, it can cause a chain reaction. You can cause a chain reaction. I'm not saying you will, but the odds of you causing a chain reaction while being okay with standing out are higher than the odds of you doing nothing. The odds of you doing something make it 50-50, and the odds of you doing nothing make it 0-50. And I would rather have 50-50 odds than 0-50 odds. So I will take my chances and stand out, and I believe that the rest of you should take that same step. Whether it be a baby step or a ginormous step, whatever you view it as, take that step. And when you take that first step, reflect on how it makes you feel and keep going with it. Because once you master the craft of standing out, the world is your oyster and you can do whatever you want to do.